Great. Okay, welcome everyone. We're excited to be here today. We have Emily Kearbey on the phone. She is a rock star. She ended the year as elite coach number 23 in the network. And one thing that she has perfected, I think, is bringing coaches on, getting them started right, and building her team, which I think is one of the hardest parts about Beachbody, but it's definitely one of the most rewarding. So Emily, we'll just kind of walk us through your process of doing that, and then we can do a Q&A, and we'll just let you kind of roll.
Awesome. So hi guys, I'm excited to be here with you. This is going to be a very informal conversation, not a formal conversation. I don't have slides made up for you. I just kind of want to walk you through my process. And I think that we kind of give this way too much complications in our mind anyway, so I figure the simpler, the better. This has not always been my strength, by the way. Last year was my first year as an elite coach. I've been coaching for 2.5 years now. It's totally crazy. And so at the beginning of my business, I would say for my first 12 months, I told myself that recruiting was my weakness. I don't know if any of you ever tell yourself this or you call something your weakness, which drives me bonkers when my coaches do that now, because I realize just how bad that is for your own personal oomph. But I told myself for a very long time that recruiting was my weakness, that I was meant to be in the boot camp, and that, you know, if it would work one day, it would work, right? And so I kind of stopped trying, I think. You know, I saw so many coaches doing different things for recruiting. There's so many different ways of doing this, and you don't have to follow my method. It might work differently for you, right? I see people do sneak peeks. I just see people do 3 days, 5 days, one-night webinars, email processes. You know, they make a video and they send that out to people. I don't think that there's necessarily a wrong way to do it, but the first couple times that I tried to run a group or to run an email process or whatever, it failed. And so I failed multiple times in a row, and I was like, well, this must not be something that I'm meant to do. And so I was kind of okay with that for a second. And then the year was starting over. It was January of last year. So this was like the beginning of the second year, my second year as a coach. And I really wanted to kick my business into overdrive. Like, I did not want to continue doing what I was doing. To kind of give you guys some reference, I'm 24 now. But when I got started in my business, I signed up with birthday money. I just turned 22. I was living in my mom's basement. I was a super senior in college, and I was going to school for finance and insurance. I hated waiting tables. That's what I had done for 5 years. And I kind of hit this point last January where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I would literally be at work, like, crying in the bathroom. I hated it. It was not fun. And so for me, it was not an option. I was going to become a good recruiter. I was going to become a good, person at getting my coaches started right, because I had no other option. I needed my business to take off. And so I was ready to put in the work to make that happen. And I knew that that was going to mean failing forward a lot. And that's something that I try to teach my coaches, is that you are going to fail forward, right? You have to perfect your craft. And it's not just going to happen right away necessarily. Even as a coach who is established, right? Like, you guys are like Star Diamond coaches, you're pushing for elite. This is exactly where I was when I was trying to find my way. Once I found my groove, magic happened. And for me, what I found was that I was overcomplicating explaining coaching to people. I was overcomplicating it all, and I was talking a lot about the business and not so much about me and what I could offer and just the community of it all. And I feel like that's what a lot of people crave, especially the people. I know we all attract different people, right? And that's like the coolest thing about our job. But I know that my people, like, I was probably boring them, and I also was taking forever to explain everything to them. So I found a process that worked for me. I am a big fan of 3-day sneak peeks. I love them. For me, they have to be quick enough because I have a very short attention span. I'm very impulsive. If I hear about something, I want to do it today. The day that I found out about coaching, I signed up as a coach. Like, I didn't need to hear about it forever and ever, and that's just how I personally make decisions. So I kind of have to assume that my people, that's how they're thinking too. And if they're not, that's okay. They're not my people, and that's fine. And on to the next one. So for me, a 5-day or anything really extended, it's too long. They lose interest. I lose interest. And when I'm not interested, the whole system crashes and burns. I have to be very excited about what's going on. A 3-day works well for me. I've done a 1-day before, and it works well too. I don't think the time really matters. I think it's the content. So before I dive into the business at all, now, I am very bold and proud and loud Beachbody. I love Beachbody. But if you creep my social media platforms, I'm not overly Beachbody. And I think that that's important because people get to know me. It was kind of like Shalene's call this week, right? Like, know, like, trust. People need to get to know you. They get to like you. They need to trust you. Because what we're asking people to do is transform their lives with us. Whether through fitness or business, they're taking a really big journey with us. This isn't like a sales transaction, right? This isn't a quick thing. I mean, this is somebody who wants to change their life, and they're not going to do that with somebody that they don't trust. And so you have to let them into your world. I think this can be done in the course of one video, so that's exciting, right? My first thing that I ever talk about in my sneak peek Day one for me, so this is a 3-day process. I do only one thing each day. Day one is just my story. I don't mention anything really about the logistics of what I do as a coach. I don't mention the challenge packs. I don't mention my coach training. I'm just letting them know me as a person. I'm trying to break into their emotional state because I think that we make emotional decisions way before we make logical ones, right? If we want something, that's tapping into our inner callings. And I think especially with coaching, you know, they're desiring more for a reason. Most people, you know, when they're wanting to start something like this, it's not like, oh, I want to make $2,000 this month, right? They're looking for purpose. They're looking for fulfillment. They're looking for freedom. They are looking for those things, but it's tied to a really deep emotional feel. And so I think we need to tap into that. So I try to keep my videos very short. People have short attention spans. They're busy. We're used to Snapchat life, right? 10-second snippets. Like, people cannot watch for long. I try to keep it 10 minutes or less. And I know, like, if it's 15 minutes, people will act like they watched the video, but I know that they didn't because they're asking me questions about the end of the video. And I'm like, you didn't watch the end of this video. But they lose interest after a couple of minutes. It's crazy. So in my first video, I'm just introducing myself. I let them know my story. I let them know where I was before Beachbody. I let them know where I am now, really the progression of that. And I try to really, really, really tap into that. I mean, to kind of give you guys some insight into how I take them through my story. When I was getting started in my business, I was 21 years old, right? I was a super senior in college. I was living in my mom's basement. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I've told this story so many times, I could tell it in my sleep. I was 50 pounds overweight before P90X3. I had no self-confidence. You know, I was just a shell of the woman that I am today. And for me, I desperately needed a change. And I had hit a rock bottom moment before I realized that I needed to make that change. And for me, it was on a skiing trip. And so I always tell them about this skiing trip where we were invited to go out with our friends, Nick and I, my fiance. We took our fitness journey together. Again, a very humanizing thing, yeah. We've been together since high school. We've been together for 8 years now. And we kind of took this fitness journey together. We lost our health together and we took it back together. And when we went skiing, we went to this little bunny slope and I couldn't even hold onto the rope to take you up the bunny hill. And that for me was a huge moment in my life because I ended up sitting in the lodge all day by myself, drinking wine and playing Yahtzee versus a computer on my iPad. And I was 21 years old. And I was like, I should be out there exploring the world, right? I should be out there living life. And I wasn't. And for me, that's when I knew I needed to make a change. And so I decided to commit to my fitness. I was busy. I was a college student. I was commuting. I was working as a waitress 30 to 35 hours a week. I needed something quick. P90X3 was coming out. It was like the stars had aligned. And I was like, Emily, 30 minutes, you can do this, right? And if I wasn't going to give myself 30 minutes, I knew I never would. And so I committed, and after 6 months, I was able to lose 50 pounds. And because of that, I fell in love with helping other women find their confidence and really go through transformations, not just physical, but on the inside as well. And that led me to fitness coaching. And now it's my gift and my duty to pay this forward to as many people as I can. And that's why I'm here with you today, to teach you exactly what I do. And so that's where I lead them into my story. And then I ask them to share their story as well. This is usually in a Facebook group. I do a group. I don't do an event page. It's a private group, so nobody else can see in. But I have them just comment below with their story. I ask them, you know, I shared my heart for you, and I would love to hear your story below. I let them know there's a huge power in your story, and realizing that is huge. And this is it. That's it. Day one is it. I tell them my story. I ask for theirs, and they start getting personal and emotional in the comment box, which is really cool. And once a couple of them start breaking open, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody just starts like, they have all these big stories, you know, and these big moments. And it's just cool because they're tapping into their emotional side of their brain instead of just the logistical, right? That's day one. And then day two, I do start to take them through exactly what I do as a coach. I try to keep this as simple as possible because we overcomplicate the heck out of this, even for ourselves. Like, as our businesses progress and as we start aiming for bigger goals, we start to assume we need to take so many things more onto our plate, right? Or it's just going to get so much more complicated. But really, at the end of the day, what we do, and I take them through these 4 things that I focus on in my business. I focus on my fitness, right? So I let them know, you know, you have to practice what you preach. If you're not working out, nobody else is going to join you. If you're not taking care of you, you're not going to inspire anybody else to join you on your journey. I talk about personal development because I think that was huge for me. Personally, I had such a bad mindset before coaching. It's bizarre to me now because people, what I get, I guess, complimented on in any group that I run on social media and any message box, it's my positivity and my enthusiasm. And these were things that I did not have 3 years ago, like at all. And that was personal development. Of course, finding my own confidence through my body, but I mean, I was a horrible procrastinator. I had no time management skills. I was highly introverted when I got started as a coach. I was terrified of talking to people. My first pictures, like I always hid my face with my phone and my selfies because I just wasn't this person. And so for me, personal development was huge. And I kind of explained to them the oxygen mask theory, right? Like if you're going to help other people, you have to help yourself first. And if you have to commit to living your best life. And I let them know how pivotal that was for me. And then I talked them through social media. And again, this is very brief. So every day I show up a couple times on social media. I'm documenting my journey. I'm trying to share little tips here and there that I think could help somebody. And it's very simple. It's great accountability for me, right? And you guys all know this, but just give you my spiel. It's great accountability for me. It keeps me on track with my fitness journey. But it lets other people know what's going on in my world. When I did P90X3, I wasn't posted on social media. I didn't even have a coach. I didn't know any of this existed. So nobody knew that my journey was going on. Nobody could join me if they don't know that it's happening. So I post a couple times a day. I pick 2 platforms and I rock them out. And then I tell them that I commit or I interact in the communities. That's number 4. So I check in with my clients and I check in with my team. And I let them know, I think that's what a lot of people crave. I really do, is community. Whether that's through a team atmosphere, whether that's through friends who are like-minded, people who have goals, people who lift them up, people who will keep them track on their fitness journey. People are looking for community more than anything. Especially, I feel like the 20 to 30-year-old woman who maybe has kids or just got out of college or is finding her way as a young adult, it can be hard, especially when I was at a weird point when I was 21, 22, and I was focused on my fitness. All of my friends were bar people, that was it. And so I kind of lost that in my local community. So being able to regain that through coaching was really cool. And I'll kind of talk them through that. Some of my best friends I met through coaching. And so that's day 2. It's what I do as a coach. I give them a look inside of my business activities, is what I call it. So again, that's your workouts, your personal development, you're sharing on social media, and then you're checking in with your clients and your teams. You're hanging out in the community. And I really do think it's that simple. I think our jobs are that simple. I'm not talking to them about inviting necessarily, because I think that sharing on social media, that almost is inviting to me. I actually rely heavily on attraction marketing, because I think if you're actually adding a lot of value online and you're really being authentically you, it works. People will come to you. You just really have to be yourself. You really have to be okay with the fact that not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay, and that you'll find your people. But I think that that's enough. And then day 3, I do a live Q&A. So that's it. Day 1 was about me. Day 2 was those 4 business activities. And then day 3, I pop in. I usually try to do it in the evening. I usually go around 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I do a live Q&A, some main topics that I usually talk about. So I like to actually, I guess you could say I kind of fix the Q&A, so I know what I'm going to talk about. I have some common questions, right? I run sneak peeks weekly, and it's something that I've always done. Last year I started this because I knew that if I was going to end the year elite, I had big goals last year. Yeah, at first I wanted to be in the top 100. That was my big goal, and then we did that in a month, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But I knew I was gonna have to work really, really hard. In my mind, I was gonna have to work harder than everybody else to be ranked with people who had been in the business forever, and I was just a baby coach. And so I started doing them weekly, and so I saw questions that came up over and over and over, like time. How much time do you need to be a coach, right? People, that's a huge worry of them. And so I humanize it again. Any question that they have, I'm relating it to an experience that I've had or that one of my coaches has had. So when I was getting started, I was busy. Yeah, I was in school. I was waiting tables. Some of my best coaches are full-time workers and moms. It's crazy. And so I let them know that, you're going to work from a very defined to-do list, I guess, which is the power hour, right? That's not any secret. It's a power hour, but they need to know that they can fit it into their life. I do like to reference, because some people like to work out in the gym, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. So some people, their picture of Beachbody is doing kickboxing in front of the TV, and that's it. Now, I do all my workouts at home, and I'm a homebody, so that's my jam. But for some people, they might love hammer and chisel in the gym, or Body Beast, or whatever, P90X. And so I don't like to cut them out of our world because they don't feel like there's a place for it. So I let them know, gym versus home. Can you be a coach and work out in the gym, or can you work with people and they could work out in the gym? So I let them know that that's totally a thing. That's totally fine. I let them know, of course, how they're going to find their clients. I'm not going to find your clients for you. And I like to set that precedence right from the get-go, that I'm not going to be doing anything for them, right? I will mentor you. I will be here 100% of the way. But what I found last year in the beginning of the year was I was very, very nervous of, I guess, pushing people away by being hard, not harsh, but real, right? I would try to sugarcoat everything for everybody, or give them everything, make it just so easy. And I was scared to say no to anything ever. And then I had a bunch of handicapped little coaches who couldn't do anything for themselves. They aren't here anymore. They aren't thriving. It's the people who can take it and run and can take a system and actually implement it that are going to see success. So I let them know that that's exactly who I'm looking for. I'm going to make this so easy for you, right? This is a foolproof system, but it's up to you to take it and run with it. Because otherwise you're surrounded on a team with people that are just like complaining, and they're not go-getters, and they're not meant to run a business for themselves. Not everybody is. And I think that that was a hard thing to realize. So I get it, right? I'm like, man, this would be so amazing for you, and you would be so good at this. But they have to have that mindset that's not just employee. I can't tell you what to do every day. So I just kind of go through some of their questions. I do let them ask them live. Sometimes they ask really weird questions, like, what do you eat for breakfast? And I'm like, this is weird. It's not a business question. But they just get personal. Like, they want to hang out. I'm like, okay, fine. And at the end of the Q&A, I open up registration. I think that it's kind of a sense of urgency, and it gives them a time schedule. So I let them know, I believe you're here for a reason. And I really do. This isn't like a load of like bull crap. I really do think that they're there for a reason. So I let them know that I only work with so many people at a time. And what I do is it's a first come, first serve basis. After I get off this video, you can message me. I like to have them message me in my Facebook inbox so I can voice memo them. I feel like it's personal, but they could email you. They could do whatever you want. But I let them know, message me right away that you want on the team, because these spots are going to go like hotcakes. And so at that point, registration is officially open. And don't open it before that. They have to sit in on those 3 days. If they're asking me questions that I know I covered, I will tell them, like, I covered that on day 2. Are you sure you watched it? And make them go back and watch it, because I'm not going to sit here and explain something to you twice that I've already said. And I think that'll be helpful for you. You need to know what I'm talking about, right? So open up registration. The message process itself is pretty quick. So I don't think, and maybe it's just because I'm not a big small talk person, but I don't want to talk and talk and talk and talk forever. And I would be totally turned off if somebody did that to me. Now, some of you might be like, you're very conversational and you love that. That's probably your people's jam. Like, and they probably love that about you. But for me, I just need like boom, boom, boom. So my first like message, once they say I want on the team, I pretty much just say, that I'm really excited for them. Here's exactly what your next steps look like. 1, and I get everybody started with the challenge pack, all access right now, especially as it's 160, but they need all of our tools, right? If they're going to be a successful coach, they need the tools and confidence and knowledge that comes with that. So I let them know we're going to get you signed up for your Beachbody On Demand access, making me your business mentor and fitness coach. Number 2, you're going to, I'm going to send you your welcome email. Now, this is a really simple email. I can show it to you guys, but it's like so simple. It's ridiculous. But they're going to gain access to our team page, to my boot camp, and that's it. And then number 3, in your first couple weeks, we're going to make sure we set up a one-on-one call so that we can go over any questions that you may have and make sure we set yourself up for success. And I say, do you accept my invitation? And they're always like, yeah, I accept your invitation. And then I'm like, great, great, great. So in my second message, I say, all right, well, let's go ahead and get that started for you. All I need to know is what flavor of Shakeology you'd like included in your training package. And I list the flavors for them, and they tell me what they want. And I use the Coach mobile app to sign everybody up, because otherwise they mess up, right? They click the wrong thing. They decide they don't want a challenge pack. They do whatever. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, woman, you're going to kill me. So I sign them all up with the Coach mobile app. It's simple for me. It's simple for them. Takes everybody like 2 seconds. So I do that. I sign them up really quickly on the Coach mobile app, and then I let them know. Registration's all through on my end. If you have any questions, let me know. But if not, I'll see you on the other side. Welcome to the team. And I like to reiterate in that message too, because I don't know if you guys ever have somebody who's like all gung-ho and they're like, sign me up, but then they never finish the link, or like they never actually finish registration, and it drives you bonkers. You're like, wait, where are you? I think telling them like, welcome to the team, like you are a part of the team, like you're here, and really being reaffirming for them and just very confident in them, I think is huge. But that's the process itself. And I think that the key here, I am a huge PD junkie. I probably listen to 3 or 4 hours a day. Like it's probably an addiction at this point. But I think that's something huge if you're going to be on video or talking to other people or influencing people at all of any type. You need confidence and enthusiasm. And these are the two biggest things that I get complimented on. Like I said, confidence and enthusiasm. If you're asking somebody to change their life, but you're kind of hesitant, you're kind of not like 100% confident in your video or in every conversation. So I literally, before I do a video, like, and I might look like a crazy person, but I bump the music, I'm jumping around the house, like I'll do whatever I have to do, I'll drink some Energize, and I get myself into a really good mindset so that I can give them my energy. I can give them my confidence, my enthusiasm, because they're nervous. I was nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Like, am I going to be able to see success with this? They're having self-limiting beliefs because that's human, right? We're trying something new. We're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. We have to give that confidence to them. And that's huge. That right there, like when I watch some of my coaches will add me into their sneak peeks for feedback. the biggest thing I tell them is they look scared. And because you look scared, other people are like, their guards are going up. They're not sure about you. And so they're not sure about themselves. That's huge. And if you don't feel 100% confident, you just got to fake it till you make it, because that's something that you should be confident. We have an incredible opportunity, right? I know sometimes people will wonder, like, okay, how to get your new coaches started, right? And we think about all of these trainings and like what we could create for our team. But what we do is so simple. I think we overcomplicate it. Like, people were rocking out the business well before we all had all of these crazy training platforms or whatever. You know, when I got started, my sponsor is incredible, but she didn't have the training academy she does now, and I got by just fine. And so I think that we really, really worry about that, but they don't need that. They just need somebody to confidently put them into the system. They need to get their hands on the workouts. They need to get some experience in a boot camp if they haven't already. I know typically, you know, you'll convert a challenger to coach, but I do have people who come directly into the business because they want to know what I do. And I think that that's fine. But if they're doing that and they're going to do it successfully, they have to fall in love with what we have to offer, because if they don't, they will fail. And I let them know that. Like, it's like telling somebody to go see Beauty and the Beast, but you hated it. Like, you would never do that. You know, it's just not, it doesn't make sense. So I think that that's huge, getting them involved in your boot camp, and then honestly just giving them attention and love. And I'm somebody who, I'm very systematic with this. Like, with my new coaches, I'll send them a voice memo here and there, let them know that I'm thinking about them. But really, my training process, I do have a training website. It's 10 days. It's so basic. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's taking them through the vital behaviors at a very slow rate, right? So you need to be doing your personal development. You need to be posting on social media. I try to teach them kind of some good tips with that, because, you know, sometimes people will get started as a coach and all of a sudden they turn into a weird robot. I'm like, wait, your posts were really good before. Why'd you do this? So I think that's important. I let them know that they need to become a good challenger. And then I try to help them really brainstorm their boot camp from the get-go, because they need to see a quick win. I think most people need to see a quick win. If they don't see some Success Club points month one, they get discouraged. Now, not everybody. I'm sure every so often we hear on the National Makeup Call somebody who like took 2 years to get started in their business, right? Or however long. But for most people, they need to see a quick win, even if that's 2 Success Club points, right? They need to see some small paycheck coming in. They need to see one life that they were able to change. They need to see something. And so I think it's important to let them know that this is your agenda. Month one, you're going out there and finding 3 people to join you in your fitness journey. And it's that simple. I've ran boot camps before where I let my coaches add their people in. Currently, I don't let them, because again, I feel like I was handicapping a lot of people and they just counted on that forever. And so it wasn't really doing them any favors. It maybe bumped up my Success Club numbers, you know, like how many coaches were hitting for like a month, but then they were weak. And I was like, well, this doesn't help either. You know, I want a strong organization with integrity. And so I just give them the tools. I give them everything that I have. I'm very transparent, but I try to keep it so simple. They don't need to know about Emerald day one. They just don't. They don't need to know the ins and outs of the comp plan in its entirety day one. Like, I know people will talk about the comp plan in their sneak peek. Imagine how overwhelming that is for somebody who doesn't even know about our world. They're like, what? Like, that's craziness. I think it's okay. Like, I talk about my financial journey, and I talk about like how you make money in a very simple way, but I'm not talking about team cycle bonus necessarily. I'm not talking about like, okay, your left leg and your right leg, and it's strong, it's weak, and you're going to cycle with this much volume. I see people do it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have been terrified in a sneak peek if somebody told me all this. Like, what is all this? I'll never be able to do this. It must be so complicated. Simplify the process. Let them see your heart. Be confident. Be enthusiastic. I don't think your process matters as much as your confidence. And I think doing and doing and doing. Honestly, I probably had 25 sneak peeks in a row that failed before I had one that rocked. And then now they're my strength. You know, like really, like at first, like I can remember not last year, but the year before I tried them and they weren't consistent. I would do them here and there. But it was like they were always, I would never sign up a coach from it. And I was so discouraged, but I kept going. It was like, at some point I've got to get better at this, right? Like at some point my video has to get better. At some point I have to get better at talking to people, and you will, and you do. And that's where you can start. You know, last year, I went from recruiting like 5 coaches a month to like 50. Like it was times 10. I mean, it was craziness. And it was just from having a system. I was very consistent with that. It's a well-oiled machine. Monday through Wednesday every week. Monday through Wednesday every week. It's there. I know when I'm doing it. For me, I'm a creature of habit. So if I take time off of that, I just get out of my system and then I get grumpy and then I'm not fun anymore and I'm not confident and positive and enthusiastic that I need to be for them. But that's the system that works for me. Some people do 1 a month. Some people do 2 a month. Do what's your jam and stick with it, but get good at it through trial and error, I think. Maybe one night's really great for you. I don't know. But I think it's all about just letting them know who you are as a person, letting them connect to you first before they have to connect to Beachbody as a company. Because once they trust you, they're like, oh, well, if Emily's, a Beachbody coach, it must be legit. I trust her, and she wouldn't do something that was stupid. So this must be something that I should listen to more about. Sometimes people lead a little bit too quickly in with Beachbody and not enough about them, and they don't like or trust you yet, right? They need to get that first. So that's my process. I don't know if that's helpful.
I think it totally is. Question. Yeah, go ahead. We'll open it up for Q&A.
I am just so excited to talk to someone else that is a rock star at recruiting, because obviously I do not do 50 coaches a month, but I think I could if I put some effort into it. But I currently don't put as much effort because I am so overwhelmed. When I recruited 20, then 19, then 15 last month. So that number of coaches to mentor, to me, how the F do you, for real, is it just kind of the runners are going to run and everyone else is going to quit? Or how is your mind, brain just coach explosion? 20 to me, I'm who? You're a coach? Oh, wait, let me look at, and then I have 42 Jennifers sign up and they all have a last name that starts with L. And I'm how did I sign up? Everyone with had Jennifer L. I'm so I have and the next letter is A in all of them but one. It's how do you keep it? I can recruit and I can get all these things, but it's then I've got all these coaches hanging in the balance. So then what?
I think it's all about having a solid system and sticking with that system. So for me, last year I had one of those moments where I was oh my God, I was doing one-on-one calls with all of my coaches. And I made them schedule it in their first week. And I had a week where I had to do 17 one-on-one calls, and I wanted to die. And I will never, as long as I live, do that again. I remember it was the worst week of my life. I was oh my God, I was living off of coffee and it was awful. It was awful. So what I started doing, I try to have this very systematic. So they're all signing up. Now, generally speaking, since I do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're all signing up on Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes I'll have a couple people trickle in on Friday. I don't do anything with them until Monday. I give them time to get comfortable on the team page, read through their welcome email, whatever. And then on Monday, I like to do a new coach Q&A. So this is kind of like a new coach getting started, right? But it's in a group. So I don't have to sit there and do it individually, right? I can do this with everybody at one time. I record it. So that way, if anybody can't be there, of course, they can watch the recording. And this is, again, very basic. I'm hey, you need to start participating in the boot camp. You need to start doing a workout, posting on social, very, very simple things. After the new coach Q&A, honestly, they're working through that training. That's 10 days of training, which I do it self-paced. Because for me, I wanted to take information and run with it. So sitting in a Facebook group, I used to try to run new coach training groups where every day there was a training posted, but I just had to wait for the next day. And I was oh my gosh, I'm ready to run. Give it to me. I'll take it and I'll run with it. So I like to give them that self-paced training, but it's up to them at the end of that to book a one-on-one call with me. Some do, some don't. And I'm not going to hunt down the people that don't. If you don't have the drive, and this is what I found from last year, from my trial and error, because it was a hot mess, right? If they don't have the inner drive to make it through a tiny 10-day training and book a call with me on their own, drive, they're not going to be driven enough in this business. And it's hard because I was dragging people last year and I was getting them to Success Club 5. And not me, but I was come on, you can do it. And it's just for a while that might be okay. And you feel you're doing what you're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, they're never going to be a rock star. They're never going to be able to take that unless they have some sort of mental breakthrough. So I focus on my people who are ready to run. I'm here for the people who aren't. I think that I have enough resources in the team page. We have a weekly team call. You can hop on it. We have, the National Wake Up Call. You can hop on it. You have the information when you're ready to take it. So I think letting them book their one-on-one call is helpful. Not forcing it on them because honestly, if they don't want to talk to me within 10 days, that's on them, I think, personally. And then I'll do one check-in. So if I never hear from them, I'll do one message and I say hey, I know you were super excited when you got started. And it's literally this almost verbatim, I know you were super excited when you got started. You had some really big goals. Where have you been? Right? Why did you never do anything? And usually they're like, oh, life is just busy, or like, oh, whatever. And look, no, okay, well, when you're ready, I'm here. And I kind of make it known that that's the relationship, that I'm here for you when you are ready to run, but I will never push you. You have to push yourself, because otherwise you will burn out. You will totally, by the end of the year in December, you'll be like bashing your head against a wall, like, oh my gosh, these people, come on, we're pushing for elite. When I started to focus on my runners, I was able to give them so much love and attention that I popped 5 diamonds in 1 month last year. That was how I went 5-star. It happened at once. They did it together. They had so much fun. I mean, it was a really cool year to see my leaders rise, but it was because I stopped trying to baby everybody and I started to treat them like adults, and I focused on my runners. I focused on my top 20%. I always made sure I was giving at least 60% of my time to me and my business, and the other percent got to go to my team. But they don't need me that much. I wasn't babied like that. Like, I personally didn't talk to my sponsor coach for the first 3 months of my business, and I was a Success Club starter, and I was a diamond coach within, however many months, and I was doing well. I didn't need to be babied. And so I think, personally, if the tools are there, the resources are there, it's up to them to run with them.
So after, do you have like a, because I'm finding like now, I was telling Sydney, I redid my Coach Basics, and then I'm finding, I had one coach who's like, can I join April Coach Basics? Because I run it in a group. And I'm like, no, you can't run it. You can't do this again. Now it's like, this is like where you go do. Like, I'm not letting you in another group to like sit there and learn and read about it. So like, what do you do after Coach Basics? Do you have like an Emerald, the Diamond, or just kind of?
So I do run Emerald trainings periodically. I try to do them once a month, but sometimes it's more like every 5 or 6 weeks. I like to say that I'm an implementation monster, and I try to teach that to them. Like, you can read all the PD books in the world, but if you don't implement, you might as well have never read. You can show up to all the training groups in the world, but if you don't actually go and implement it, you might as well have never showed up. You might as well have stayed home. And I think that's something that they have to learn. Like, action beats perfection every day, because perfect will never come. So I'll ask them, I'll say, what do you think is holding you back? And I try to make them face their fears. Like, why are you not moving? Because this is a you thing. This isn't a me thing. And I'm not mean about it, but I just ask, what is holding you back? And usually it's a self-limiting belief. Usually it's something silly. And sometimes even just verbalizing it, they realize how silly it is. They're like, well, yeah, I realize that that's silly now. And I go, okay, well then here you go, plan of action. I made a power half hour to see if that helped my girls. And some of them it did, but some of them were still too busy for that. And I'm like, well, you're going to be busy for the rest of your life, because you're never going to make a business. This is going to be your life. But yeah, I push them. I try to push them out of the nest, because last year I babied them. So I claimed this the year of confrontation for me, because last year I was like, I'll do anything for you. Like, don't run away from me. And then this year I'm like, go fly, little birdies. You've got this. Because what it did was, honestly, I had a lot of diamonds. Actually, I had 3 diamond coaches quit last year, which was weird. Like, they were strong coaches, but they needed me. And they needed me every second of the day. And they needed me to tell them how much I love them every single day. And I never stopped. Like, it's not like I was like, hey, stop messaging me. But when other coaches were getting attention, they needed it. And then their businesses would drop from diamond. And then they needed me to say, hey, are you going to get back to diamond? And if somebody needs that, they're not self-driven. It's dangling the carrot in front of them, right? Like, it's kind of like, we'll do incentives. And I think incentives are great. I mean, I like incentives myself, but like, it's like people who will push for a trip, or people who will push for some sort of recognition, and then they instantly drop. That's another thing that they've got to work through, and hopefully they see enough other people. I like to say that when new coaches come into the team and they crush it, and you're focusing on these new rock stars, it kind of puts some pressure on your vets, right? So they're like, all right, maybe I should get my butt into gear. Like, I've got a new coach. She works 60 hours a week, and she has 4 kids. And she's insane. Like, she hits Success Club 40, 50, 60 every month. And everybody else is like, oh my God, now that Charla exists, like, I'm a big baby and I have to face this now. So yeah, I try to push them out of the nest. I don't know. It's hard because some people aren't going to take that well. Some people are going to be like, well, but can I sit on one more? Or like, can you watch this one more time? Can I use your boot camp one more time? It's just not serving them. And I let them know that. Like, it's not serving you. I want you to just jump out of the nest and fly. Did you take this core information? Did you start implementing it? And why not, if so, and make them face that.
I love it. Thank you. Any other questions?
You can actually cap how many, like when you're like registration is open, first come, first serve, like you don't really cap it, right? Or you do?
Honestly, I found usually I try to say I cap it at 15 a time, and honestly, it's hard for me to recruit many more than 15 people a week, so I don't battle that too often as a bad thing. But I think it pushes them. It's kind of like with the challengers, right? Like getting them like to believe in themselves. I don't think it's a huge deal. Like I'm not feeling like a liar if I sign up 16 people instead of 15, but it kind of pushes them like, hey, make a choice. Are you doing this? Are you not doing it? Yeah, I'll sign up a few more people if I have a few more people, but I don't usually battle it. Like I'm not like I'm signing up 3 of you, and then there's like 10 of them being welcomed to the team page, and then they automatically hate me. So they're like, what? You're lying.
I have a quick question. So what do you feel like is your biggest driver of getting people from challenger or followers to your sneak peeks? So what do you think is like the main thing that attracts people to coaching for, to be one of your coaches?
So I love attraction marketing. I like to talk about the lifestyle in very nonchalant ways. I honestly am very subtly Beachbody, and I hope that that's not a bad thing to say, but like I love Beachbody. I'm loyal as can be, and I will never ever go anywhere. But I don't know where I read it or heard it, but it was either you're always creating curiosity or resistance at all times. So I'm trying to pique curiosity at all times. I'll sprinkle in lifestyle. Like at this point, honestly, it's a good mix. I would say it's like 70-30 of lifestyle and fitness, because fitness is such a small part of who I am. I work out for 30 minutes a day, and I'm not a bodybuilder. Like I work out to feel healthy and happy, but the rest of this like lifestyle. So I try to trickle that in, like being able to go to the coffee shop in the afternoon or going on the Success Club trip, just small little things. I try to trickle in the lifestyle a lot, and I try to be very personal. I ask a lot of questions on my social media, so they're beginning to get into that behavior of interacting on my page. So like little things, like I try to ask a question on almost everything so that they want to start interacting with me. That way, when I post about like, a mentorship opportunity or even a boot camp, I can post a boot camp picture on my Instagram. I have 25,000 followers. So I'm proud of that amount, but every time I do that, I can have at least 100 people comment below. And that took time, and that took a lot of work, getting them used to commenting on my things, helping them know who I am as a person. I think that we're in a really pivotal time here with Facebook Live, Instagram stories. People can get to know us as humans a lot easier. And I think that makes our jobs really nice, because if they like you, again, know, like, trust, right? It's almost like going out there and fighting an army of people who are just like you. I always am out there trying to find young 20-year-old women who are lost. And that's my people. And I think a lot of people, like when I got started, I was 21. And so I was kind of the college crowd. And a lot of people were like, I have a lot of coaches at least who will sign up and they'll say that they're proud as college coaches. And, it's the worst because they have no money. Well, everybody else is ignoring them, and I was going and attacking them, right? And so they were all coming into my world. But I think it's just a matter of trickling in the lifestyle. Like Bonnie Inglo is fantastic at this, right? Like you watch her, she's lifestyle, and she does it very well. She's very Beachbody too, so it works well for her in that sense. But I think that matters. Like I was attracted to my coach strictly from lifestyle. I wanted her life. Like I lived in my mom's basement. She lived in this badass condo. She was working out and getting paid for it. I was waiting tables and depressed. Like I wanted that. I wanted to feel happy like that. So I think getting really transparent with our victories, even the small victories, it's really big. I definitely invite people to it, but I do think attraction marketing has been a big thing in my business, especially over the last 12 months, because I think last year I found my voice. Like I stopped trying to be everybody else. Like there were times in my business, you can like probably look through my Instagram feed. Like there was a month where I was trying to be Amy Silverman, and then there was a month where I was trying to be my sponsor coach, and like it's crazy. Like, I wasn't being me 100%. I was trying to be all these other people because what was working for them was working so well, and I was like, man, like if I just do that, it'll work really well for me, and it didn't. And so for me, like if you look at my page, it's almost annoyingly positive. I have this like stupid big smile, but that's my life. And that's just like who I am as a person. Like some people hate it. I have people who will message me and ask me like, I would do what you do, but do I have to be this bubbly cheerleader like you? Because that's just not who I am. And it's annoying. Like what? I have some people who will say that my smile, like, oh my gosh, you smile so big, stop it. But I don't care. Those aren't my people. So I know it's very weird.
Sorry.
But I think it's okay. And I'm very much so talking to a very specific person. I think about their struggles. I try to think about what keeps them up at night. What are the things that they struggle with every single day? And then how am I not struggling with those things, right? And then how can I trickle that in and really speak to their emotional side? It's a very emotional business, right? Like we make decisions like, yeah, it's fantastic. Like the comp plan rocks. It's great that we can make a full-time income. It's great that we can have all of these things, but a lot of it is emotional triggers, being able to be home with your family or potentially getting there someday, being able to go on vacation, being able to do, all the things that we want to do, quitting jobs that we hate. I mean, these are huge things for people that they're struggling with every single day. I know I was worried, and Jamie Fitzpatrick talks about this a lot. I totally stalk everybody, by the way. I listen to every National Wake Up Call. I'm like a junkie. Like, I'll take in all the information and I implement it immediately. But I know Jamie Fitzpatrick was talking about how he shares his story like 7 times a week. Like, you cannot share your story enough. Like, share it, share it, share it, share it. Well, I started sharing it. And it brings a lot of people in.
Great. Any other questions, guys? No.
What do you do as far as like mentoring your runners? So like, one thing that I've noticed is that, because I have, like the leeches that message me and I'm like, wait, I've spent so much time with you. You've never even gotten a Success Club point. What am I doing? And then I'm like, meanwhile, I've got like Cynthia over here that like with her hands tied behind her back is getting Success Club points out the wazoo. I need to like spend time with her. So like, what do you do to specifically spend time mentoring your runners?
So I'm always looking, right? So I always check my online office. I'm always keeping track on it. Like, literally, I have a notebook and it's my top 10 notebook. I'm pushing hard for top 10 this year. And so in there, I'm keeping track of all of my people. And I'm looking at who has points on the board. And I'm watching who's new and up and coming. I'm a huge fan of voice memos. Like, even the smallest thing. People don't need all the knowledge in the world. They need attention. They need to be told they're doing a good job. Most of the time, like, that's what they need. I know for me, like, anytime that my sponsor would message me, especially as a newer-ish coach, and she would just tell me, like, you're doing so great, I was like, whoa, thank you, right? Like, that's amazing. And that for them makes them show up for team calls. And that for them makes them show up in the team page. So voice memos are huge. I love notes, like handwritten letters. I have a huge stash of cards down here. So I will send them for them out of the blue. I don't like to do them for things. I don't like to do it for like, you hit Success Club 10 this month, congratulations. I like to kind of surprise them with it. I don't do Success Club gift incentives. I like to do rando gifts for people who really wow me. And I think when they get small little acts like that, they're like, whoa, like I am good, right? Like, I'm really good at this. I should probably continue trying harder. So I'm just always watching for the new runners, and then I just try to give them more love and attention. But the knowledge, and like, I'm sure every single one of you, right? Like, I feel like nobody in this day and age, with the technology that we have, with Google, with YouTube, with National Wake Up Call, with all that we have, like, nobody has an excuse to not rock their business. They're just telling themselves that they don't know enough, and they do. They have all the information. So if you have a strong culture that you're creating in your team page, like we have a weekly team call, that's something that they know, and that's very consistent in there. That's enough. Like, honestly, that is enough. They don't need me in there saying, like, here's your special tips. And a lot of times they'll seek them out. I will. So what I'm doing today, actually, because, obviously we're pushing for summit recognitions and we're pushing for all of these things. So today I'm going through and sending personal voice memos to people who I know could push for diamond, who maybe like don't even see it for themselves yet. But doing a personalized message. I used to do just like, I would post in the team page, right? Like, we have a diamond training starting, if you're an emerald coach, here you go. And then like they would get into that group, and then they would get into the next group, and then they would get into the next group. I don't know if it was because they didn't feel like exclusive, but for me, like, if somebody took the time out of their day to tell me, like, dude, like, you're going to do this, like, I would be like, okay, like, I'm going to do this. Let's do this together. So I know too, one of the girls who, she's like on my sponsors team, she's popping a lot of diamonds right now. And she is very busy. She works her business like an hour a day, but she voice memos them. Like, she just voice memos them consistently and tells them how awesome they are. And that's really it. So I think it's just a system. Like, every day at 9 o'clock, I sit down, I check my online office, and I send a couple voice memos. It's very systemized, and I try not to, like, they know that I'm only in my message box from 9 to 10 a.m. After that, I will not message you back. I will tomorrow at 9 to 10 a.m., but that's it. And if you need a quicker answer, post it in the team page, and I will see it, and I will answer it there. But kind of drawing those lines is helpful, because that gives you time for passion projects, or to be able to reach out to your people who you want to spend more time with. Kind of like setting those boundaries, I think it's helpful. But any kind of mentorship, emerald, push to diamond, whatever, it's such a simple process, right? Like, emerald, 2 people, diamond, you do emerald a couple more times. It's very simple. Anybody can know that. It doesn't need to be a long, drawn-out 7-week training program. They just need to know that you think that they can, and then set that goal together and set a deadline for it, and then hold them accountable to it. Like, hey, did you add 2 people this week? Hey, did you add 2 people this week? And I think that that's all that they really need.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
I can.
Sorry, I have headphones in because my dogs were barking. Do you give incentives like do you give incentives to all of your downline or just your PS coaches?
Usually just my PS coaches, but something that I have been doing is I've been working a lot deeper into the downline this year because I just wanted to grow my volume. I wanted to grow my income even more. That was a big goal for us. You know, I want to bring my fiance home. We want to be debt free this year. So I knew that if I was going to do that, I needed to really up all of my team's productivity, not just my personally sponsored coaches. I don't do incentive gifts for the entire downline per se, but I will send them a little letter, or I will send them a voice memo and kind of take notice of them as well. I think that that's enough, honestly. Like I used to do like random little gifts, like a headband or like a whatever. But for me, it just didn't feel like, it's kind of like when you get somebody a gift for Christmas just because it's like out of obligation, right? Like it's Christmas. But if somebody gives you a gift on a random Thursday, you're like, oh my gosh, thanks for thinking of me. I think it's just kind of that people want to feel special. But I definitely recommend looking into your whole downline and finding the runners, because let's say, like I've had this happen. I have a girl who has a coach that's about to go star diamond underneath her, and she's not a diamond yet. And she's like, oh gosh, like I'm going to go diamond because she is a rock star. But I noticed that rock star's potential and I reached out to her and I encouraged her, and I kind of take the mentoring spot there, but that's okay. Not like stepping on toes, but I'm there to answer questions for her. And I think it just helps everybody. It's a family. It's one big team. Especially now, like I don't feel like it's big enough yet to where I can't handle that. Maybe at some point it will be, I don't know, but I try to give them all love as much as I can.
Thank you. Go ahead, keep going.
Sorry. How do you handle your message inbox? Because I know that you probably get 42 million messages, as I do. So
I take the terms of the fact that it'll never be empty, ever. And I'm okay with that. I tell them, I'm very upfront with my coaches that like I'm in there from 9 to 10. And if you don't hear back from me, follow up and I will message you back. But once it falls down below 100 messages, I'm not going to see it, so message me again. And I just let them know that it's not mean. Like I'm not like ignoring you. So follow up with me. Like it's like people get busy, right? Like we follow up with our customers. We follow up with people who we want to purchase. I get busy too. So follow up with me. I will be there. I will be in my message box. I try to clear them all out. Having that 1 hour a day where I sit down and answer messages, I can pump out a whole lot of voice memos in 1 hour. But there are times where I fall behind. And honestly, it used to get so bad to where I would be fearful of opening my message box because it was overwhelming. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get through this. And I would just ignore it completely. And so I came to terms with the fact that sucker is never going to be fully gone. And I can't do everything, and I can only do my best. And that's where I rely heavily on my resources and my team page to know that, if there's somebody who doesn't get answered within 4 days, they're fine. They just want to be babied a little bit and told that they're doing okay.
So like how many days out are you? So like your inbox of 100 is from like yesterday or like last Friday?
I mean, it's hard, right? Because like it's my coaches, it's potential coaches, it's rando people who want a fitness tip. It's constantly flowing in there, and I think that that's a good thing. But yeah, I just try. I mean, I don't know how many messages I get in a day, and I'm definitely not the best at message management either. I let things fall through the cracks sometimes. I'm human. I'm definitely not perfect in that area, but I try my best. I try to utilize Google Streak. I'm not going to talk about Google Streak because it's way too new for me to talk about. But I try to convert, like anybody who's messaging me about my boot camp, I say, hey, can I email you instead? And I move them into my email inbox so I can have them in a specific pipeline for that. If somebody wants to talk about coaching and they're not in like a sneak peek, I try to transition them out of there. I try to keep my message box just coaches and then try to transition everybody else into my email inbox so that I can organize it a lot better. I don't think it's rude, but yeah, it's a beast. And I'm sure that there are people out there who are fantastic at it, and I probably should learn from them in this topic.
Okay, that was great. Thank you so much, Emily. We'll let you get back to your family. We really appreciate you coming on. I think this was very helpful, tons of tips. We will let you know if we need anything, but thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll let you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Bye, thanks.
Thank you.